In this video, I'm going to show you 6 top mistakes that we see in Performance Max feeds. Hey, this is John from Stub Group. We are a top premier Google partner digital advertising agency, and we help businesses dominate Google Ads and make money online. And we've had the opportunity to take over many product feeds for Performance Max campaigns. And so we see many of the top mistakes that advertisers and even other agencies are making in their product feeds. I'm going to explain 6 of those mistakes today so that you can hopefully avoid making those mistakes in your Performance Max feeds. So mistake number 1, advertising too many product variants in your feed. So what does this mean? So if you are an e-commerce store, there's a very good chance you have what they call product variants. If you're selling clothing, for example, that could be sizes, medium, small, it could be colors. If you're selling electronics, it could be, a 4-foot cable, a 5-foot cable, whatever. There's basically versions of a particular SKU where you can customize the size, the color, the length, etc. And a lot of businesses will throw all of their different product variants into their feed. They might have 100 core SKUs and 1,000 variants once you add up all the sizes and colors, and they throw all 1,000 into their feed. Now, there are some instances where this is a good idea, and there are many instances where this is a bad idea. So think about it like this. You want to think, how are customers searching for products? Do they care, or are they searching for initially the size and color, or is that the decision that kind of comes after they get to your site and take a look at your product? So for example, in the electronic space, people might be looking for a very specific length of cable, and so it might make sense to have advertise each length of cable in your feed. But if you're selling, let's say, a hoodie, people generally don't search for large hoodie size black. They're looking for hoodie, maybe they care about the art that's on it, the fabric, things like that potentially. And then once they get to your site, they're going to assume, they're going to have a size that fits me and a color that fits me, and they'll select that once they're on your site. The downside to having all the different product variants in your product feed is that it just spreads the data out across so many different places that it takes way longer to build up enough data to see how a specific product is performing, and also to teach Google, since with Performance Max, machine learning is such a massive part of it, you want as much data per data point as possible to teach Google what the conversion rate is, what their bidding strategy should be, how different products are performing across different platforms like shopping and search and display, etc. And so what you want to do is, as much as possible, really focus your attention on, let's say, kind of one parent product per variant, instead of having 10 different separate SKUs per variant. Now, this also kind of feeds into mistake number 2. Mistake number 2 is having information in your ad for a product variant that doesn't exactly match what's on the landing page when someone clicks on your ad to get to your landing page. So I see this all the time. So for example, maybe you are advertising your small hoodie. Let's stick with hoodie. So you're advertising your small hoodie. That's the variant that's in the product feed. But then when I click on your ad and it says small hoodie and the price is, let's say, $25.99, and then I get to your web page, by default, the landing page is taking me to maybe the large hoodie, and it says large, and the price is different. Instead of $25.99, maybe it's $29.99. Just picking raw numbers as examples. That's a really bad experience for the customer who is clicking through your ad, because they expect to see one thing, one price, and because you're not accurately sending them to the right kind of default variant on your product page, they're seeing something different, and that's a disconnect, and you can lose business right away, or at least frustrate and confuse potential customers. And that's an issue that we see often in feeds. Mistake number 3 is again related to product variants, and it's using a picture in your ad that doesn't match what they're going to see when someone clicks on your ad to get to your product page. Again, this happens very often, and there's some nuance here. So sometimes you're going to play around and test different images. You might have, let's say, a lifestyle image with someone wearing your hoodie, and maybe your default product image on that landing page is not a lifestyle image, it's just the hoodie, on a white background. That can be okay. But what can be problematic is, here's an example we saw recently when we took over a feed. The image in the ads was a set of green sheets. but when you clicked through to the landing page, the product page by default had white sheets. And there was just this disconnect of, that looks cool. I clicked on this color. Wait a second, that doesn't exactly match what I just looked at. And so, and the problem or the reason behind that was again, that it was sending to the wrong variant experience on the landing page. So try to make sure there's consistency between the image that someone is clicking on in the ad and the image they're going to see as a default image when they get to your product page. All right, mistake number 4. Disapproved products. So this isn't so much a mistake in your feed as it is a mistake in not staying on top of the products in your Google Merchant Center. Google is constantly disapproving products for a host of reasons. Sometimes it's because you're not sending over the correct information. Sometimes it's because they did identify correctly the type of mismatch between your product information in your feed and on your website that I just mentioned in mistakes number 2 and 3. And sometimes it's Google, incorrectly flagging. They do that all the time. They'll say, oh, this is a weapon. And you're like, no, it's not, it's a hoodie. Things like that. So when they do disapprove your product for whatever reason, that means that your product is not going to be showing in Google Shopping through your Performance Max campaign, and it's not going to be showing as a product listing ad across any of the platforms in Performance Max campaign. So that's a big problem. So you want to be regularly checking your Google Merchant Center to look for products that have disapprovals or warnings as well, so that you can fix those warnings and keep your product clean, your feed clean, so that you're able to advertise all of the products that you want to advertise. Mistake number 5, using default product titles. We talk about this a lot in some of our other videos about Performance Max as well, and it's because this is one of the biggest levers that you have to improve your product feed, and probably one of the biggest problems that we see in product feeds when we take them over. It's a pretty straightforward problem. You are using the title that is on your product page on your website as the title of your product in your Performance Max feed. And you're like, well, yeah, duh, that's the title. That makes sense, right? Well, here's the problem. Usually on your website, you're not using a, let's say, keyword optimized title. Because someone is already on your website, they already know that you're a clothing brand, they know the brand name, they know what you're selling. And so might say just, black hoodie, and that's your product title. And that might work in the context of your website. But someone who's looking at your ad is not on your website. They don't have that context. And perhaps even more importantly, Google is looking at your product title to understand what search terms are relevant to your product. They're looking for keywords in your product title. And so it's very important that you think of your product title as an ad. Now, when I say that, I don't mean put a bunch of promotional text in there, because that's not allowed by Google either. So it's not like, free shipping, 10% off, do not do that. That's going to get your product disapproved. But think of it as not black hoodie, but okay, this is a black hoodie from this brand. Here's the size, here's the color, here's the fabric, here's the description of the imagery that's on it. Here's, it's hypoallergenic. Here's, fill in the blank. Any information that you can add to both add keywords that Google can look at, as well as just to make it look more compelling as a title, the better. And don't keyword stuff. Don't make it look ugly, because people are going to see it. And also Google doesn't really respond well to keyword stuffing. Just make a really good product title written out, thinking about, okay, if I am a consumer and I'm going to see this as an ad, what is compelling to me? Mistake number 6, not using all of the available fields in your product feed. So Google has required fields like product ID, product title, you have to send to Google. If you don't send them, your product can't run as an ad. But then there's also lots of optional fields that aren't required, but that help build up and improve your data quality and give Google a better understanding of what your product is, so that they can better match it to relevant search terms and show it to relevant audience members. And B, it also makes Google happy. They like data, they like seeing that you are using as many fields as possible, and that helps them prefer your products over the products of other competitors who aren't providing that data. So there are tons of optional fields that Google offers. Some are more important than others, but by default, try and use as many as you can. So if it's a product with size and color, use those. Say, is it for adult? Is it for children? Say, what gender is it for? There's things called product highlights and product details that most people don't use. We see this missing in most feeds, and it takes a while to write these things, and so a lot of people say, I just don't have time for it. But you can work your way through the feed. Start with the first 5% of products that are your best sellers and kind of work your way down. Add product details, product highlights, add weight information. Provide as much information as you can in your product feed to Google, and Google will generally reward you for doing that. So I hope those 6 top mistakes in Performance Max feeds was helpful. There are certainly many more mistakes that we see, and if you want to see more content like this, please drop a comment, let us know. We'll also put more videos that you can watch about Performance Max and other Google Ads topics on the screen here, and if you tap that subscribe button, you will be notified each and every time we put out new information that can help you dominate Google Ads. Until next time, take care.